on the front here that are meant to kind of mimic what is on the odds and ends piece. I have created an SVG file for this. It will be linked in the description box below. Will be a link to go get this SVG file. My album is 6x8. It is about 3 inches thick because it's in 3 parts, so that it was graduated much like the little tiers on the odds and ends piece. So my whole goal with this was to just use the 6x8 pad, which I did. I have literal scraps, like 1 inch, 2 inch pieces. I mean, like almost unusable scraps left. And I used Petite Prints. Other than that, everything else, it's all the 6x8 pad. I also used the mini icons and the Chit Chat for this, as well as the Butterfly Kisses shape sprinkles and some of the Bitty Bugs shape sprinkles. Okay, so as you can see, there's the Bitty Bugs and the butterflies on there. There's a Bitty Bug here. But yeah, so let's take a look. So first section of the album is 4x6, not quite 4x6. It's not, you know, slightly under. You have to trim your pictures down, which you really probably should be doing anyway, because you don't want a lot of dead space. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Okay, so you open it up. We've got a nice pocket here and a belly band. You get into this next section, you've got a flap and another pocket here. This is the border strip from the 6x8 pad, as well as one of the 3x4 cut aparts from the 6x8 pad. I will tie these back later. This one opens up like so, and you've got room for pictures there. And again, I've used the mini icons and a border strip from the 6x8 pad. And then when you open up this way, this is one of the little tags that's on, of the new tag paper that's on the 6x8 pad. Again, mini icons, and just the 6x8 papers. And then we've got a Chit Chat piece, more of the mini icons here, and then a nice photo mat. This then flips this direction. So we've got another photo mat here. We've got Chit Chat and more Chit Chat. This lifts up. We've got mini icons. We have a diagonal flaps, and again another border strip from the 6x8 pad. When you open this up in the middle here, we've got flaps kind of going every which way here. This was a page where I did use a lot of the Petite Prints. And back like so. Here we have a little gatefold page with a pocket, so you can get some more photos in there. And then this one opens up like so, and again, lots of place for pictures, and another pocket here. Then you flip it back the other direction one more time. We've got a nice big pocket here, using that 6x8 paper cut so that you kept it mostly intact. When I was gluing it down, I did get slightly off, didn't get it quite perfectly aligned, but it's handmade, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. Chit Chat again. This pattern is actually the back side of this one. And then again, we've got another belly band here. We've got plenty of space for pictures here. Go in our center, we've got one of those tags, a couple of photo mats, and then we have a cute little stacked waterfall here. And these are just helping keep that all closed up. Here we've got 2 big flaps with lots of space for pictures. And then on the back, we've got a couple more flaps, and then we've got accordion. So accordion and accordion. Okay. And then over here we have a 4x6 waterfall because I wanted to use those 2 big journaling cards that are part of the 6x8 pad. So we did use those. That's another one of the border strips, and then just different papers from the 6x8 pad. So there we go. We've got Petite Prints, 6x8, and 6x8. And I will retie all of this in a minute. but that's it. That is the project. The tutorial starts next.
Okay, so let's get started on our cover. So I have never done a cover like this, this style. I don't know if I've seen any done. So this is going to be different for all of us. Okay, so we are going to start with 2 pieces of cardstock that are 8 by 10, 2 pieces of chipboard that are 6 by 8. You're going to cover the back with tape. You can glue them if you want to. I do not want to. Where's my, uh-oh. Where is my, there it is. Okay, sorry. Thought I had everything like right here ready to go. That will never happen. We all know this. Okay. So we're going to get our backing off of that. Drop this down. Okay. There's one piece. Get our second one in here. Oops. There we go. Okay. There's our 2 cover pieces. Our first set of cover pieces. For our hinge, I have a piece that is 1 inch by 8 inches. We are going to wrap that one with a piece that is 4 by 10. So again, I've got the back covered in tape. I'll go ahead and put that one down. So for your spine, you want 1 inch on the top, 1.5 inches on each side. Okay. Let's move on to the next set. So for this one, we need 1 piece that is 8 by 8. So we're going to go ahead and get all of these put down first so that I'm not going back and forth to the scoreboard. And 1 piece of chipboard that is 6 by 6. Okay. Put that one and its other 2 pieces in a separate pile. The spine on this one is going to be 1 inch by 6 inches. So again, 1 inch on the top, 1.5 inches on the side. Drop that one down. And our last one is going to be 4 by 6. So our cardstock for that one is going to be, is this my, that's got to be my piece. Yes, that's my piece. Okay. Sorry. I've got like 3 piles over here. I'm just confusing myself. Okay, so 4 by 6. So this is going to be 6 by 8. And again, 1 inch top and side. Okay. Our spine on this one is going to be 1 inch by 4 inches. So very tiny. So your cardstock for that is going to be 4 by 6. Okay. And I just put that down crooked, but thankfully this method of making your covers, it will not matter. Okay. So let me, what did I just do here? No, that's all good. That's all good. That's what I did. Okay. All right. So then let me move this out of the way. And let's grab our 6 by 8 pieces. Okay. So what we're going to do is wrap our cardstock around our chipboard. Okay. Okay, and do the same thing with our spine. All right, so there's that set. I'm going to go ahead and do it on my other pieces as well, so that I'm not going back and forth between steps. Okay. There we go. Oops, that's not right. Is it? Well, that one I definitely got on there crooked. Fortunately, with this method, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to show you on one cover piece and one spine because it's going to be the same steps to wrap the rest of your cover pieces and your other two spines, okay? First thing we're going to do is we are going to miter out this little square in the corner, okay? Okay, you do the same thing with your spine pieces. Like so. All right. For your cover pieces, I'm going to go around the, well, if I can get a hold of my tape, the outside edges with 1/4 inch score tape. If you don't want to use tape and glue, you don't have to. If you want to use just one or the other, that's fine. I use a combination. So that one's done. Find the end here. Okay. On your spines, you're going to do your top and bottom. Okay. And then you're going to flip it over, pretty side up, and you're going to get these outside edges. Okay. It's going to be the exact same process on every other piece like this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our cover pieces, okay? I am going to, first off, get my glue ready, since apparently I didn't get that ready to go. So where's my little, there it is, okay. All right, so we are going to take the backing off our tape. Okay. And then what you're going to do is take glue. You're going to come along this edge of the chipboard, get a little bit up in there. You don't need a ton, especially if you're using art glitter. You don't need a ton of glue. Okay, so along the edge of the chipboard, up in the middle, take your bone folder, push up against the chipboard, fold it over, and burnish it down. If you're having a little bit that seeps out, it's not a big deal. And then do the same thing on the opposite sides. Okay, like so. You are going to do that to all your cover pieces. Okay, so now for your spine pieces, we're going to go ahead and get the backing off our tape. We're going to do the same thing just on these ends. So glue up, over, burnish it down. On the covers, I don't worry so much about wiping up anything that kind of squeezes out, but on these, I usually will. Okay, so we're going to do that on all three of these. Maybe. Okay, last one. Okay, so now I'm going to turn all three of these over. Put that off to the side here. So as you can see, kind of pops up. What you're going to do is take your bone folder. You're going to go along the edge of the chipboard and burnish, like so. You see how now that side is very much defined where this one isn't? Okay, we're going to do that on both of these. Both of these, all three of these. I know what I mean. I promise. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to grab my scoreboard again, and we are going to put this together. So I'm going to put one of my 6x8 covers in the scoreboard. I am going to take the backing off of one side. I'm going to fold it over and just kind of hold it. Okay. And add glue. You do not want to go all the way up to the edge of the chipboard. Okay. I'm going to take this. I'm going to use my scoreboard to line this up. Push it up against the side there. Drop it down. And then it's going to be on there exactly how you want it. Okay. So I'm going to do that again. Fold this over. And this one's going to be a little bit trickier just because we've got our other cover piece attached, but it will still work. You just have to kind of grab it in a different place. Okay. So I'm actually going to turn this so it's facing me. So I'm pushing this edge up against this edge of my scoreboard and up into that corner. And then I can just let it go, burnish it down, and then our cover is together perfectly. Okay. The other thing I do is I'll go ahead and kind of pinch that, and that's ready to go. Okay. So to reinforce this, you need a piece that is going to be 7 7/8, and I think this is still 5 1/2. It really only needs to be about 1/2 inch bigger on each side. So if this is 4, this would be 5. I actually ended up changing the width of my spine on these, so I think a couple of these are actually bigger than they need to be, but that's okay. Bigger is better than smaller. So what you're going to do is center this up and drop it down. Okay. I will then take my bone folder again, and as I lift this cover up, I'm going to burnish right where that bends. Okay. Turn it to the other side and do the same thing. Okay. And then pinch it, and there is our cover. Okay. So now we're going to go to our 6x6. So here's our 6x6. I'm going to set it in here. We're going to go ahead and attach the spine. So again, I'm going to do this just like I did my first one on the bigger book, or the bigger set. Fold it back. Let my scoreboard help me as I put this together and drop it down. Okay. So I'm going to set this one aside for a second. I'm going to grab our 4x6. We're going to do the same thing with this one. So again, we're going to get our backing off. Put that down. Get our glue. And drop that one down. Okay. So hinges. Because each section has 2 pages, so you're going to have 6 pages total, but you only have 2 in each section, which again, this is because I'm trying very hard to do this entire project with one 6x8 pad. Not, of course, counting embellishments, because that's a whole other ballgame. But each one of the hinge pieces is going to be 2.5 inches wide. This one is 7 7/8, 5 7/8, 3 7/8. Okay. So with the 2.5 at the top of the scoreboard, I am going to score at 1/2 inch all the way across every 1/2 inch. So that's 2 hinges and the gusset. Okay. Same on this one. 2.5 at the top, score every 1/2 inch. And last, half, 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 half. Assuming I did actually recut that. I did. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move that out of the way. Okay, so for your hinge, I am going to start, where this is a small one, this isn't going to be as hard to keep this nice and straight. So I'm going to take my ends and fold them in on themselves, because that's what's going to get glued. Okay. That, because I'm going to need it. And just burnish that down. Wipe up anything that squirts out the side. Okay. And out. Okay. And then we can fold it back. And back. And there is our first hinge. Okay. Do the exact same thing again. The other two pieces. So fold, get our glue, burnish. Okay. And there's our second one. Okay. That did not want to stay on that side. Hold on. It is sucking on my glue again. Okay, there we go. And last one. Okay. We go there and there. And burnish that. And burnish that. All right, so let's do our page bases and our page elements. So we're going to start with the smallest one first. So for your page bases, you need 2 pieces that are 3 7/8 by 11 1/2. You're going to score both of these at 5 3/4. Okay. So 5 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish both of these. Okay. I'm going to just set those aside. So first element is going to be on the inside cover, is going to be a pocket. This is 7 by 2 1/2 So with the 7 inches at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch, turn it, 1/2 inch, turn, and 1/2 inch again. And I do have all of these pre-scored because it helps me better remember when I go to record where it's actually supposed to go. Because there are some days, I'm telling you. Okay, page 1, we have 2 flaps that are going to overlap. These are both 4 3/8 by 5 3/4. So with the 5 3/4 at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch. Okay, we are going to miter both of these. And I don't think I got out any ribbon to go with this. Let me grab my ribbon. I'll be right back. Okay, so we are going to use, and this is just random out of my stash. So we've got a yellow, not that yellow, this yellow, and this pink that I think we'll use, and possibly this little green one too. But it's like a weird texture, so I'm not sure on that one. Kind of like this yellow. I don't even know where I got this from. Who knows? It's okay. If you're like me, you probably have a ton of just random ribbon hanging around. Okay. And this is a 4x6 photo case that come in the bigger cases. I think there's, I'm not sure how many of these are in one of the cases, but like Hobby Lobby has them, Michael's has them. In fact, Michael's apparently had some on clearance, like super cheap last week, and I missed them. But that's what I store all my ribbon in. So I have like 3 of those big cases with the ribbon kind of all wound up and tucked in my closet back here. So the Doom closet, as I'm sure you've heard me refer to it before. Okay, so let's go with this green one here. So I'm going to take my first page base. So this will go onto our hinge with our hinge over here. So, and if it helps to just kind of write on here so that you have a visual of what goes where. And why is this too tall? Did I do this one wrong? I did this one wrong. Ha ha ha. You know what? It's fine. We're going to trim it and we're going to do it opposite of what I was thinking originally. No, we're not, because that's not what I wanted to do. So I apologize. We're gonna recut this one. So let me get my scrap pile over here and find a piece. So this was supposed to be, that's not right. I'm trying to work through all of my black scraps because there are so many of them. Like, it's crazy. You know, I'll hang on to those 2 flaps that I cut wrong that I have now misplaced. You know what? Maybe I need to go back to bed and start over. I'm going to hang on to those because we may end up using those somewhere else. Okay. So 5 3/4. That's what I get for watching the video while I was trying to get these prepped, huh? Okay, so you're going to score them with the 4 3/8 side at the top at 1/2 inch instead of the other way around. And then we'll miter. And then if you would like to corner round, now would be the time. And I think I do want to do that today. All right, so I'm going to use the medium. Okay, so let's go ahead and fold and burnish our tabs. And before we attach them, we want to put our ribbon down. So I'm going to grab my 1/4 inch score tape. I'm going to get a little piece up here. And get the backing off and go ahead and glue this flap on. And it had been a while since I'd done anything as small as this front part of the album, so it took me a bit last night to figure out what I really wanted to do with this. Okay, so then I'm going to kind of eyeball about where I think I need to trim this. That's probably too long, but I'd rather have it be too long to start with than not long enough later on, because I'm really good at making it not long enough and then not being able to tie it very well. So there we go there. And it's like actually put that on straight would be incredibly helpful, wouldn't it? There we go. That's better. Okay. Get the backing off of that one. Go ahead and glue this down. Make sure this closes nicely. Go ahead and burnish that. And there is our first page. There we go. Actually ended up being about right. Okay. So I'm going to turn this over so it's ready to go when we go to put our next piece on. So for the next one, we have a pocket and a tuck spot. So our tuck spot is going to be 3 7/8 by 3/4. This is literally just a scrap piece. So I'm going to leave this attached to it, just set it aside. Our flap is 3 7/8 by 5. We're going to put the 5 inch across the top of the scoreboard and score this one at 1/2 inch. Okay. Going to miter. And corner round. Go ahead and finish that down. I'm going to put this to the I want it to the outside edge. Okay. And since my little tuck spot piece is the same height as my page, I don't need to mat underneath this first. I just need to put glue down one side like so. And then go ahead and just put this on this outside edge. And then when we go through and mat this, then we'll just do a cut apart or something to that effect that we tuck in here to hold this flap closed. And that's the first page, and that's ready to go. Which that's the other thing, doing it this way where we're not putting them in the book and then putting the elements on, that we're doing the entire page base piece of it before we do the rest of it. Actually, if you wanted to swap which page base goes where, you absolutely could. Okay, so here's our next base. Front of page 2 is very, very simple. This is just a belly band that is 4 7/8. That is not my scoring tool. 4 7/8 by 2. So with the 4 7/8 at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch. Turn it 1/2 inch again. And we are going to miter. Okay. and fold and burnish, and that is just going to go right here. And that will be a good place to just put extra pictures. Okay. All right. Last piece. We have a flap and a pocket. So our flap is 3 7/8 by 5 with the 5" at the top. We're going to score at 1/2 inch. Then we have a pocket that is 4 7/8 by 3. We're going to start on our 4 7/8 side, score at 1/2 inch, turn it, 1/2 inch again, turn, 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and miter. So on pockets, you're going to miter at the top, and on the bottom corners where the score lines cross, you're just going to cut straight across. Okay, and then we need to miter this and this. Okay, we are going to fold and burnish, fold and burnish. Okay, and this one we are going to, this is going to go here. This one's going to go here. You could do another ribbon closure on this one. I think on this one I'm actually going to do, well, I don't know. Hold on, let me look because no, we might be able to do, but I don't think this is going to be quite long enough to do it. So I know what we'll do. Okay. We are going to go ahead and put this on. Okay. And then go ahead and get our glue on here. Put our pocket down. And you could absolutely use magnets if you want to. Normally I would. But this album, I think, needs that extra texture of some kind of ribbon closure on things. Although we do have one element coming up in the next section that I will use a magnet just because I don't want to mess with, I think it would be harder to do with a ribbon. So what we'll end up doing here, actually, you know what? It's close enough. Okay, I may end up regretting this and having to replace it with a magnet, but for now, I think it's close enough. I think we'll be okay because it doesn't have to go all the way across the page. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down where it needs to go. Hold it straight up and cut because we only need a very small bow. Look at that. That actually worked out better than I expected. Okay. So front, back, I'm going to clip these two together and set them aside because they are good to go. Okay. Our next section is going to be, where did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry, I was like, I have lost my paper. No, I haven't. It's just over not where I thought it was. Okay. So our page bases for the next section are going to be 11.5 by 5 7/8. So again, we're scoring at 5 3/4 on that 11.5 inch side. We're going to go ahead and fold and burnish. Okay, and set those over here. So first element is going to be the inside cover, and again we're doing another pocket. This is 7 by 3.5, so you're going to start with the 7-inch side at the top of the scoreboard, score it 1/2 inch, turn it 1/2 inch again, turn, and 1/2 inch. I'm going to set this one aside because we don't need this just yet, and move on to our first page element. So this one, we're going to do a gatefold page. And the easiest way to get it to line up exactly, if it's something smaller like this, you actually can do it this way. If it's a bigger page where, you know, the total width with your tabs that you're going to score is wider than 12 inches, then you have to do 2 separate pieces. However, when you do it out of one piece, you're going to be sure that these are going to meet right in the middle and not overlap. Unless, of course, you glue it down screwy, which I am very good at doing, but most of the time I can make this work. It's actually not that hard. Okay, so this is 6 3/4 by 5 7/8. You're going to put your 6 3/4 at the top. You're going to score it 1/2 inch, and it's 6 1/4. Okay. Then we are going to, sorry, I have to do math. I didn't get my math figured out. So if the overall page size is 5 3/4, this would be 2 7/8. So you're going to line up this score mark at 2 7/8. Okay. And before I cut this and screw it up again, that is not right. 3 7/8. No, that can't be right either. Oh my God, you guys, seriously. I should have done this at 9 o'clock last night when I finished it and thought, oh no, that's too hard. Okay, so no, 2 3/4, 2 7/8. No, I'm right. Okay. Oh, it's because I was at 1 7/8. That's why. Don't be like me. Actually learn how to use your trimmer. Okay, cut it in half. There's our 2 flops. Oh my God. You guys, seriously. Okay, and then we are going to do a flat pocket. So this is 2 inches by 6 5/8. We're going to score it 1/2 inch on each end and not at all on the bottom. Okay, so first up, we need ribbon. This time we're going to use yellow. Okay, so I am going to find what is approximately halfway and attach that one down. Kind of eyeball where this needs to go here. And over here. Okay, so remember this is where it's going to attach onto our base. And see, look, they're even. I can do math on a Saturday morning when I don't have to. I just apparently can't line stuff up in my trimmer, which is typical. So, okay, so I've got those mitered. I'm going to go ahead and miter our ends on our pocket. Okay, we're going to start with our flaps. So I'm going to fold and burnish. And go ahead and get our backing off here. Okay, so those are down. So this one, we are going to go ahead and fold and burnish. And what we're going to do is get, first off, we're going to make sure this fits, which it does. That's why I did it slightly shorter. We're going to get glue on our ends. And then I'm just going to do a thin line along the bottom. So you get a pocket. You can't like totally stuff the pocket, but it has enough space, but it's also not going to make our little doors bulge out because there's a big pocket underneath it. Okay, let's go ahead and tie this. Okay, flip it over. We're ready for the next side. Okay, this side. And I did try to keep this one somewhat simple on purpose, just because, you know, not everything needs to be super difficult. So on this one, ooh, I don't think I have enough of that. I don't think I can, well, maybe. Okay, anyway, let's get our flaps and then we'll figure that out. Okay, 5 3/4 by 4, 2 of them. With the 4 inch at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay. We are going to go ahead and cut these, miter these, fold and burnish. Okay, this is going to go here. This is going to go here. And I didn't round those corners, and I need to. Although with a gatefold, you could probably get away with not rounding them, and it would still be fine. Okay, so I am going to try. Let me see. Let me see if I think this is going to be enough. So it would be here and here. Yeah, I think we can make that work again. We're going to do the same little trick that we did on the other one, where we had the shorter span that the ribbon needed to cover. Kind of eyeball it to get it as close to centered as we can. Go ahead and put our flap on. Okay, this one is gonna, whoa. Go up here. Okay, so then I'm going to flip that over just like I did before. Get that close to the edge, but not all the way to the edge, because of course you're going to mat and it won't be all the way to the edge. Okay, now let's see if me and my little bow challenge state can do a tiny bow on this. There we go. Good enough. That'll work. Okay, move that one to the side. Now, this one's going to be a little bit trickier. We have a flap that is 6 3/8. I'm sorry. 6 3/8 by 4. Okay, it's supposed to be 4. Mine's actually 4 1/8. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Actually, you know what? No, because I'll go to mat this and think it's smaller when it's not, and I'll get really mad at myself when I cut stuff wrong. Okay, 6 3/8 by 4. With the 6 3/8 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay, go ahead and miter. And then we're going to do a diagonal flap. So this is 6 3/4 by 5 7/8. So same thing we did with the gatefold page, where we're doing the entire width of the page with our extra for our tabs, and then we're going to cut it. Okay, so you are going to score this at 1/2 inch and at 6 1/4. Okay, we're going to go ahead and miter on all 4. I mitered that already, so we're good there. I'm going to grab my trimmer, and depending on which way you want it to go, it's entirely up to you. I'm going to go this. Hold on. Yeah, I'm going to go this way. I am going to line up my now mitered corner and corner, and then just cut it in half. So now we have a super cute mitered flap, and this is the one we're going to use a magnet on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish and glue it down. And when it comes to matting this page, because they are opposing diagonals, you'll be able to take the same piece of paper, cut it to the matting size, cut it diagonally, and you don't have to like do any weird measurements to mat it, which is always good when you're trying to not get super complicated. Because I know sometimes I have a tendency to go towards super complicated albums, but this one, the album itself is going to be very, very simple, and that is intentional. Okay, all right, so make sure I've got that going the right way, so when it goes on the page, or goes in the book, that is. Okay, fold and burnish your tab on this one. Round your corners, because I forgot again, even though the corner rounder is literally right there. And I am going to just center this, close these down, fold this over, grab magnets, maybe. The heck are, oh, there they are. I was like, why aren't they up where they're supposed to be? Okay, we got 2 magnets. We got score tape. It's going to go down here on the bottom, close it all down, drop your other one on top, and tape it down. Okay, flip it over, ready for the back side on this one. And this one has 4 flaps. So we have 2 that are 4 by 6. Okay, 6 inch at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch on each. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and miter. Miter, and then round my corners. Okay, our next 2 are going to be 5 7/8 by 6. Both of those you're going to score with 6 inch at the top at 1/2 inch. Okay, and then we're going to miter. And round our corners. And then these 2 are going to go I think these 2 go first. No, they don't. Okay, so we're going to fold and burnish. And fold and burnish. like so. And that's what I'm trying to remember, because I thought I had a different plan for these, but maybe I'm thinking of something else. Sorry, give me 1 second while I think about this. So I kind of just have them. Okay, I remember what I was going to do. All right, so okay, this is where it's going to slide on the hinge. So this is the back side. I'm going to put one of them down in this bottom corner. Okay, so this closes, this one will come up this way. Okay. The other one, we're going in the upper corner on the opposite side. So they will overlap, but they won't overlap where, you know, you'll see the one underneath. Okay. Like so. Okay. All right, so this one we're going to do magnets again. And this one, I think I do want to do some that, those aren't any stronger. Those are not the ones I wanted. I am going to do a slightly bigger magnet that's a little bit stronger. I don't use this one, this size a ton, but sometimes you do need it to be a little bit stronger. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put it in the middle of the top larger flap. I'm not going to go all the way down just because that's too many layers that it's trying to go through. And then there. Okay, so there's that ready to go. So those two are done. Clip those together, set them aside. Okay, now, where did my... Well, there's my elements. Where are my page bases? Oh, they're way over here. I don't know why they were clear over there. Okay. So this one is where we're going to end up using our pink at some point here. Our page bases for this are 11.5 again, and then 7 7/8 high. Okay. So 7 7/8 high, 11.5 wide. You're going to score at 5 3/4. Okay, so 5 3/4, 5 3/4. I'm going to fold these in half and burnish them down. Okay, and set those over here to the side. First thing we've got is another pocket. This one is going to run sideways. So this is 9 by 3.5. We're going to start with the 9" at the top, score 1/2 inch, turn it 1/2 inch again, turn, and 1/2 inch. Okay, this one's going with the other two for the front inside covers on the other two sections. So first up, we have a flat pocket again. So this is 8 7/8 by 2. We are going to score this. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, that's right. Okay, sorry. 8 7/8 by 2. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch on each end. Okay. Go ahead and miter. Okay. And then we are going to do a double waterfall. So I have 6 pieces that are 3.5 by 3 7/8. Okay, so the couple of cut aparts that we use on the fronts of these, we are going to have to trim them down, which is fine. So with the 3.5 at the top, you are going to score at 1/2 inch. Hold on, that's what I need to double check here. Because hold on. Got to make sure that I did my math correctly. No, this does need scored. Again, I'm sorry. So 1/2 inch on each end, 1/2 inch on the bottom. That's, sorry, I apologize for that. I should have written it down. Okay, easy fix though. Okay, so all 6 of these, 3.5 at the top, score them at 1/2 inch. Okay, these do not get mitered because it is a waterfall. Okay, so I am going to grab my page base. Okay, this is where it's going to slide onto the hinge. So I'm going to turn it so that the outside edge when you're turning the page is facing towards me. Okay, I am going to fold and burnish my waterfall pieces. So you're going to have 3 and 3. We, however, are not going to attach these yet because we do need to mat this before we put our waterfall pieces down. But we can go ahead and put our pocket down because that much will be fine. This whole little thing is going to be held closed by another, like a photo mat, okay, that'll go into this pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish my pocket. And it is a very shallow pocket, so it'll just get a couple of photo mats that'll sit in there and hold everything down. Okay, the pocket is going to go on this open end. So it will be, the bottom of our pocket will be facing towards our spine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, put that down like that, burnish it down. I'm going to take my little, apparently we're not going to stick today. I'm going to take those and just kind of paper clip them in here for now because it is sucking up the glue and not sticking again. Okay, so turn that over, ready to work on the other side. Okay, so for the other side, we have 2 flaps and a belly band. First flap is going to be 6 3/4. No, I'm sorry, 5 3/4 by 8. So 5 3/4 wide, 8 inches high. We're going to score on the 8-inch side at 1/2 inch. Our second flap is 5 3/4 by 4. Hold on 1 second. I need to double check something. Okay, that is correct because this one comes up from the bottom. It's, yeah. Like I said, there are some days that I just question everything that I do, like this. Okay, so this one was, did I tell you? 5 3/4 by 4. Scored at 1/2 inch with the 5 3/4 at the top because that's what threw me off because I was like, wait a minute, no. Okay, and then 8 by 5 3/4 with score at 1/2 inch with the 8-inch at the top. And then miter. And corner round. And then we have a belly band that is 1 3/4 by 6 3/4. So you're going to score at 1/2 inch on each end with the 7 3/4 at the top. I just said 6, didn't I? That can't be right. Because it's supposed to be 6 3/4. Oh my God, you guys. I am so sorry. I haven't had this big of a train wreck tutorial in a long time, and I apologize. Yeah, 6 3/4. Okay, and miter. Okay, so, whoops, well, that didn't work clearly. Okay, so we are going to just clip these and set them to the side because apparently they don't want to stay where I want them to stay, and that's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and put our belly band on. So I am going to fold and burnish. I'm going to grab my page base, and it is running across the page. Okay. The smaller flap, oh my God, really? All it's doing is just sucking up that glue. So this must be an older pack of paper because that's usually when that happens. Granted, it is incredibly dry in Utah. Okay, that one's going on the bottom. The one going on top, we're going to do the same little ribbon trick that we've been doing. So this is going to go up here. Or would it? Yes, this, okay, sorry. Fold and burnish this. Go ahead and glue it on. Okay, because this one folds up over the bottom. So I'm going to say I want that much. And then again, like so, and tie. There we go. Okay, that one is ready to go. Let's see if we can get through the rest of this without me having to apologize yet again. Okay, next one, 2 flaps, 8 3/8 by 5. With the 8 3/8 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch on each. We are going to miter. And corner round. Okay. These, there is not any kind of ribbon, magnet, what have you on this one. If you wanted to add a magnet, you absolutely could. These are just going to overlap, centered up on the page. So you got about 3/8 of an inch on each side. In fact, you know what? No, we're going to stack them. So that's, no, we're not, because I just put that on the wrong end if I'm going to do that. So never mind. We're going to go with the original plan. Okay. like so. And because these are big enough, once they get matted and decorated, they're going to be heavy enough, they're going to stay down on their own, so we don't need to do any kind of closure unless you want to do a closure. It is up to you. Okay, last element for the pages, and then we've got one for the back inside cover again, but that's easy. Okay, last element is some accordion flaps. So I have two pieces that are 4 by 12. We are going to score it 1/2 inch, 4.5, and 8.5. Okay, on both pieces, 1/2 inch, 4.5, 8.5. Okay, I am going to miter, and then you are going to fold in your tab and burnish, and then you are going to fold over and over. Forgot to miter my, or not miter, round my corner. Okay, let's round that one. Do this one. So over, okay, over, over. So back and forth, basically. It's going to be a Z fold, okay? Like so. Tab, Z. Like so. We want to go ahead. That's what I was trying to figure out is like so. And if this is going to be long enough to do what I was thinking I needed to do, which I don't think it is. So what we're going to do, these are the two I had, yes. Okay, so remember these two that were wrong, that were 4 3/8 by 5 3/4. This is where we're going to put them. So we're going to go ahead and glue these top and bottom. Okay. You're just going to center it up. Apparently when I folded, I was not exactly straight on that corner, so we're going to fix it. There we go. And then the other one. I totally did not even get this close to centered on here, did I? Not even close. So I'm going to pop this back off really quickly and carefully so I can re-glue this bottom one, because somehow there we go, there and there. Okay, there we go. All right, I apparently can't score anything this morning either. Okay. And line this one up with that one closer to where it's actually centered. Okay. So these two are 5 3/4 by 4 3/8. So with the 5 3/4 at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch, and then you're going to score again at 5/8. Okay. So we've mitered. I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish both of our score lines. Okay. And this one is going to go like so. And like so. And we're going to do our ribbon the same way we have done on those other couple of pages where it's not going to be centered, which is fine. Okay. So this one's going to go here. Okay. Our other one's going to go opposite. Okay. And then we're going to do this again. Hold it up. There we go. Okay. Okay. So there's our last two. Okay. And again, I am going to clip them together and set them off to the side here. The last element is the back inside cover. We are going to do a waterfall. This is 4.5 by 6. There are 5 pieces. With the 4.5 at the top, you're going to score each of these at 1/2 inch. You do not miter your waterfall. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold and burnish all of these so they're ready to go. Probably will corner round. Haven't decided yet. But this is where we're going to use those 2 4x6 cut aparts that are in the 6x8 pad. So we will have to trim them down just a little bit, but it will be okay. All right, so I'm going to clip these back together and set those aside and figure out some matting, and I will be right back.
Okay, you will notice that this has changed. It's because when I went to edit, I realized all of the insertion of the pages and whatnot was missing. So it actually gave me the opportunity to change something that when I was assembling that piece of it yesterday, proved to be a little more difficult than I thought. So you've got your page assemblies, so on and so forth. Here's what we're going to do first. So here's our 6x8 piece of the base. We're going to go ahead and glue our pocket on the front inside cover. So this is a side loading pocket. That is, I think I did that in the page assembly. If I did not, it is 3.5 by 9. You are going to score it at 1/2 inch on 2 short sides and 2 long sides. And then that goes in here. Okay. You will mat underneath your hinge. So this is 1 inch. So it was 1 7/8 by 7 7/8. Your hinge, I don't know. Did I leave that in? I don't believe I did. So your hinges are all, I'll put it back in. So we're going to take our 7 7/8 inch tall hinge and we're going to go ahead and attach this in here. I did mat underneath them I'm of course not going to do that for this redo. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put my hinge in and center that up right there. The back inside cover has a waterfall. I did mat beforehand on this one. I'm not going to do it on this just because I will end up reusing this piece of the base somewhere. But all you're going to do is come down about 1.5 inches or so and start your waterfall, center it up. And because this is going to be 5 7/8 by 4.5, and I think in the page assembly I had said 6 inches, but I did cut this down. This is going to be the same width as your matting on this back inside cover, so it will be 5 7/8 by 7 7/8. Okay, so that makes it very easy to line up your waterfall and keep it straight, because you're just going to line these pages up. You're going to bump it up against the tab ahead of it, and it will be lined up side to side on your matting. Okay. Okay. So there's the first 4. When you get to your last one, you're going to actually fold that out flat. Get adhesive on the back, and then this is going to go on top of this one. Okay. So at this point, you will have done your page assemblies. Let me look and make sure I'm getting this in the right order. Okay. So our second page assembly has the accordion and then a ribbon holding this all closed. Again, I'm not putting a ribbon on here because I'll end up using this piece of it, or this base, for something else, probably just on my own. So what I'm going to do, and because you have already assembled this, you may have matted this first. That's how I had done mine originally. In order to make this easier to put together, we are actually going to attach this to our spine with score tape. Okay. So normally I use glue. You are welcome to use both. I am not going to leave the top of my page assemblies open, so that's why I'm going to do it this way, because this will end up holding just fine. I'm going to put score tape along the bottom and make sure, well, I guess it really doesn't matter since we're going to close the whole thing up. So this is 3/8 inch score tape. You could absolutely do it with 2 rows of 1/4 inch score tape. That would work as well. Okay. So what I'm going to do is open this up. I'm going to line this up so that I've got about 1/8 inch of my spine that is not attached. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get my backing off on the side that does not have the score tape along the bottom. Okay. This will go exactly the height of your spine. And I'm going to put that down. Okay. Now I can come back this other direction and open it up. I'm going to prep my second one. Same way. I'm going to do on one side. That I'm not going to do score tape on the bottom. And in this case, it's going to be my page that has the waterfall, which again, this I did in the actual book, I did matte. How did I glue that entire thing down? Because it leaked. Oh my lord, did I have a ton of glue on there? Okay. So I did matte under this and then attach my waterfall. This one you're going to line up with the top of the page. This one will be against the bottom of the page, so there's like a tiny gap in there. But I'm going to open up my page assembly. Again, I'm going to kind of line it up. So that there's that about 1/8 of an inch space between the base of the hinge, so like right here at that fold line, and the edge of this page assembly, okay? I'm going to get my tape just off that one side. And then I am going to attach it, okay? So at this point, I've got 2 pieces of it attached. What I'm going to do now, because I'm not going to leave the top of this open, this is where I'm going to come in here and I'm going to run some glue. My glue, of course, is trying to clog up on me again. I made it like all day until this exact part yesterday when it decided to clog up on me again. Okay, I'm going to do just a tiny bit on the hinge itself. Go ahead and get my backing off my tape. And we're going to fold this over and press it all down. Okay, you can do the same thing on this side. This time I'm going to actually get my backing off first. Oh my lord, there's got to be like a little dried up hunk in there that just keeps slipping down over my... Okay, and again, I'm going to fold over and press it down. Okay, so there is our first section. Now, this is where it's going to be a little bit different than you're used to. Okay, so our second section is our 6x6. So we have a cover and a spine, and then we've just got this that's just open, okay? Because this, of course, is going to go on top here. Only I'm actually going to turn it the opposite direction because it's going to open towards this way. This one's going to open this way, okay? Which you will have seen that on the walkthrough. So I've got my spine, or my hinge, that's going to go on here. I've got my piece to reinforce this. So here is where this is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so this is 5 inches. Okay, hold on, let me think about this because Actually, maybe doing it that way it will be okay. I think it will. Okay. Slight change of plans. Okay. I'm going to open this base up. We are going to attach this one like so. So it's flush with this bottom corner and this outside edge. Okay. So I'm going to take my backing off of my tape right here. I'm going to add one more piece up close to the spine. Okay. So when this is folded over, okay, there's my chipboard, there's my tape. Okay. I'm going to pull that off. I'm going to get glue in between the two, and you can do it this way every single time you put one of these together. It absolutely is okay. Okay, I'm going to fold this over and hold it down, and then I'm going to watch when I put this down that I am lining this up even with this outside edge. Okay, and then put it down. Okay, then we can go ahead and put our reinforcement on. Again, this is covered completely in tape on the back. Okay. And I'm going to burnish as I fold this up and over, and then pinch, and there, that's assembled. Okay, you're going to mat right here. We're going to go ahead and put our hinge in. Okay, there we go. Now, you have a pocket. Where did it go? Is it in the wrong pile? It is. Okay, so we have a pocket that's going to go over here. Honestly, it could go either side. On the actual project, I did put it on this piece here. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that again. So you can go ahead and just glue this down because your matting will slide in underneath it. Oh my God, I'm telling you, this is going to be the death of me today. Okay, so this goes all the way to the outside corner. And burnish that down. And then we're going to take our page assemblies. So when I put mine in after I had matted it, I actually did it opposite of how I wanted to do it because I wanted this gatefold and the diagonal piece facing each other when I matted it. So that's how it's actually supposed to go. So that's how I'm going to put this one together. But no, when you see the walkthrough, my diagonal piece is actually on this front, which is not where I intended it to be. I wanted it facing this just because of how I had matted it, but it's entirely up to you, because that's the thing with the way we've done these pages, where we've assembled them before we're putting them in. You can actually switch them around and put them in here however you want. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we just did on the other side. And I'm going to put my tape and tape. And I just did that opposite of how I wanted to do it, but that's okay. We'll make it work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my backing off. And put that one down. I'm going to do it the same way on the other side. Okay. Okay, so same thing again over here. Okay, and then same thing we just did on the other one. And get my backing off. My page lay back down. We're gonna preemptively poke the pin in there. Okay. And it's still gonna clog up on me. Okay. Fold it over, pop it down. Okay. And look at that. And I literally just did it again. Oh my Lord, you guys. Seriously, I just did it again. It's okay. It's fine. It doesn't matter because this one's not matted, and if I use the same paper to mat this one, I can swap it then. But I'm probably not going to use the same paper. I'm going to do something else with this one. And I'll probably share it when I do, just so that you can see that really most projects you can. It's very rare that I do a project that you cannot mat in any paper you choose. Like in this case, you just wouldn't make the little greenhouse piece of it. Or you could and make it not a greenhouse. You can make it into something else. Okay, this is getting out of control here. Okay, I'm seriously not even sure what the problem is on this because it doesn't feel like anything's caught in there. We're going to do that. Okay, and close this one up. This section is good to go. Okay, so now, oh, that's my waterfall with temporary adhesive, so I'm going to actually pull that out because I don't need it to still be in there. Okay, so we're going to lay this one out flat now this way. We're going to grab our next cover We're going to do the same thing. Okay. Get a little bit of glue on here. Oh, and this one I flipped that page around, so there you go. What did I do? Oh, no, it's okay. It's fine. Sorry, yeah, I did. I flipped that page around. This one's fine. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm telling you, I don't know what my problem is lately. I have too many things going on. But one of my sources of stress is now over with, so that's good. Okay, so we're going to line this up again on that outside edge. Drop it down. Grab my reinforcement piece, maybe, and get a hold of it. Maybe. Oh, crying out loud. Okay. It's going to go there. Fold it up and burnish it. Pinch it into place. And we're good to go. Except that just went really wonky on me. There we go. All right. So again, matte, gluing your hinge. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing we did before. So here's our pocket that goes over here. So this is 7 by 2.5, scored at 1/2 inch on 2 short sides, 1 long side. That's going to go down like so. Okay. And then let's grab our 3/8 tape. Did I not? I didn't finish building these pages, but you know what? It's fine. It will be absolutely fine because, like I said, this is one I'll end up matting this at some later date in different paper, so it's not really going to matter. Okay. Okay. And there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get my backing off, line it up. Finish it down. Same thing on the other side. Oh my God. Line it up. Finish it down. I just did that upside down. Which, you know what, honestly, it doesn't matter because we're gluing the page shut, so it really doesn't matter. Okay. And last one. Okay, and there you go. That is assembled, ready to go. The only other thing that got lost when I was putting it together was the matting right here and right here. Okay, so all this is a 5 7/8 by 2-inch piece and another 5 7/8 by 2-inch piece of white Petite Prints, white candy stripe dot. Yeah, I was like, what is the name of that one? I think that's the name. And then a 3 7/8 by 5 7/8 piece here. So that's how I did that. And then I just did a normal mat underneath it. But the rest of it will play next for the greenhouse assembly.
Okay, so next we're going to do our box. So I've got a piece of cardstock that is 10.5 by 8. I have lightweight chipboard that is 4 by 6.5. And then I have 4 strips that are 1 inch wide, 2 that are 6.5 long, 2 that are 4 long. I am going to grab some score tape. And just get some on the outside edges of this. It doesn't have to be exact because it's going down in the bottom of this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that cardstock, put it in your scoreboard with 10.5 at the top, score it at 2 inches and 8.5, turn it, and then score it 2 and 6. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off of this. And the score lines are more for lining this up than anything else. So I'm going to put this in the middle of the score lines. And then I'm going to bend this up and up and up and up. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing with our 1-inch pieces. Maybe. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing again with my two long sides. So I'm going to line this up and leave just a hair. So I'm not going right up against my other piece. I'm just going next to it, but I'm not leaving a big gap. Okay, so that should fold up like so. Okay, so then I'm going to come in with my scissors and I'm going to cut like so. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to take my bone folder. I'm going to push this up and over. And burnish it down. Okay. All right. And for this, you can do tape, you can do glue. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to go ahead and do tape just because then this is just going to all go together a little bit faster. And go ahead get my backing off and over and down. On that, I did get just slightly crooked, so I will trim that off. The other side's fine. This one's fine. I must have moved my scissors just a tiny bit on the other one. Okay, so this is going to come up like so. Okay, and that, because I didn't do tape all the way underneath it, is like trying to lift up. So I am going to probably regret this, but I'm going to try it anyway. Nope, I'm not. Not all the way. I'm going to feed this in here a little ways and tear it off. And the same thing from the other side. However far in I can get it. Tear it off. And then try to, I didn't even think I should have run a piece down the middle as well, and I didn't. So either run a piece down the middle as well or cover the whole thing. Don't do it how I just did. It's been a minute since I've done one this style, so I apologize. Okay, there we go. That's better. That's better. Okay, so now we're going to start out the same way with the other two pieces. So I'm just leaving a small gap Okay. And then what we're going to do is cut down to the top of that piece. We're not going to go all the way down. Just to the top. And then go ahead and get our tape on here as well. And then up and over. If you get it slightly off like I did right here, just trim it back out. That one's good. All right, so now we are going to take and cut straight out. Okay, so you're going to put your scissors up against your chipboard and cut straight across. Okay. All right. So now you're going to fold up, and this is going to come up and around. Okay. So what you want to do is fold it all up, kind of sit this here because you're going to need to miter this just a little bit. It's going to vary by project as far as how much you need to actually miter off of there. And then you probably need to get some off of this bottom section too, which is going to be a little bit trickier. So I'm not going to try and do it right now. I'm going to do it after this gets folded up. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and get tape on here. Okay. I'm going to get the backing off. And I am going to get a little bit of glue right along that bottom. Okay. So I'm going to fold up, up, and wrap that around. Okay. There we go. Then, if you've got anything that needs to be trimmed off the bottom, you can go ahead and trim that off. Mine's actually okay. Okay, and again, up and around. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to miter this just a little bit at the top. This one I kind of did already, but not as much as I would like to. So, okay, and then again with the tape. Okay, and do the same thing again. Ugh. Try not to, stick it to your arm like I just did. Okay, so up, wrap it around, adhere it down, and same thing on the other side. Okay, and there we go. So now, assuming everything is measured right, this will sit down in there like so. For this inside, I'm just going to cut another black mat to mat the inside of that. Nothing, super complicated. That's not long enough. I was hoping I had a scrap there that was the right size, but not quite. Let's see if this one is a little bit small. Okay. Anyway, I'll do that off camera in a minute. And then all you need to do is just mat this. I'm going to use just plain gray Doodlebug cardstock. I was like, what is it? Just the gray Doodlebug, and we'll mat around the outside of that. I might mat the bottom. I don't know. It really doesn't matter because this is going to sit inside this. So that much is ready to go. Now for the tricky part. Well, not the tricky part. The last part. So we have our little pieces that we cut from the SVG file. The link for the file is in the description of the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to adhere this piece down to about 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom. Okay. This piece that's going on the top, we are going to score in between, and then this will come all the way up to the top. Okay. So actually, we're going to start with that one first. So you can go ahead and use wet glue. You can do tape. You can do this whichever way works best for you. Just knowing that if you are using glue and you get it kind of where you don't want it, you absolutely can clean it off with rubbing alcohol if it goes somewhere that you don't want it to go. And you can wait and do that once it's dried and everything's good. Okay, so that's good there. While that's drying, I am going to score. So wherever the bottom of this lands, that's where you're going to score. And just do it across to the end there. You don't need to go all the way across because we are going to cut once this is all adhered. We are going to cut that at that edge. So you don't need to go all the way across. Okay. And we'll do our second piece. Okay. Again, we're just going to go to the edge and put that down. Okay. Now, that is lined up where we want it to go. I'm going to take this, Try and get my glue that seeped out right there and right there. And then I'm going to take my, you can do it with scissors if you think you can cut straight up along that edge. By all means, do it that way. I am actually going to use my craft knife and lay my ruler right on that edge. And cut straight down. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to let this dry because as you can see from the back, it is not yet dry. But once it does dry, I'm going to fold it back on the score line there. Okay. So then, grab the box. We're just going to set this in here just to kind of demonstrate. This is going to sit and go like so. Okay. This top piece, we are actually going to go ahead again. Once it dries, we're going to score that one as well. Okay, so I'm going to score. So where this sits for me is 1/2 inch. Maybe. Okay, because that's going to have our little decorative piece at the top stand up. So again, when we put this whole thing together, it's going to stand up on the back here. Okay, so what I need to do now is, and yours may end up measuring exactly the same way mine is, but just in case, so this back is going to be 9 inches. Okay. Move that for a second. Let me lay this down so I can kind of show you. Hopefully I can show you. Okay. So when it's all standing up and I lay it down, which of course is incredibly hard to do on camera, it ends up being about 9 inches. Okay. So I am going to get another piece of lightweight chipboard. We are going to cut it to 9 inches high. Okay. And then I want to measure my width and double check my width. So this is 6 7/16. So just shy of 6.5. Okay. Like so. And all I'm going to do is just mat this edge to edge with Petite Prints. So I am going to use, I don't know what color I want to use. Hold on. I think I want to do limeade. And I think I want to do the gingham linen. Okay. So I am going to do gingham linen like so. And again, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to actually adhere this down to it. And I do want the linen side out. So I am going to glue this down and then cut around it to make sure it's edge to edge. And of course, we are going to clog up because we've done so well all day with it just flowing freely with no problem. Hi, Gus. Okay. And there's that. And I don't know where my big bone folder is. There it is, all the way over there. Ugh. Okay. So I'm going to give that a minute to dry, and then I'll cut around that. In the meantime, we're going to take this. We are going to cut some 1/2-inch strips out of black. Do I have another piece of... I don't know. I don't think I do for some reason. Okay. 1/2 inch. Before I cut that, however, we are going to score them. So we're going to need 4 total. Okay. So I'm going to score at 1/4 inch. Three quarters, 1 1/4. So that's going to be 1, 2, 1 3/4, and 2 1/4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I didn't need to do the 2 1/4. That's okay. Okay. So now I'm going to cut 1/2 inch. It's just easier to score them than cut them. Okay. Right. We've got that, except this one is, these last two are both off. Okay, let's fix these. There we go, that's better. I think it must have slipped without me realizing it. Okay, except that one's still slightly off, but you know what, it's fine. All right, so the next thing we want to do is measure exactly how high this is. We aren't going to try and do the angled piece in here. You can if you want. I honestly don't feel like messing with it. Okay, so I'm at 6 7/8. So I'm going to cut each one of these down to 6 7/8. Okay. And this is how we are going to attach our side pieces. We're going to attach to our back, and it's going to blend in with our frame. Okay, so I just threw the wrong one away, didn't I? Yep. No, what did I just do? Where did it go? Oh my God, seriously, people, this is not my day. No, they're all 4 there. I'm just blind. Okay, it's been a long day. I swear I've been down here for like 9 hours. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I am going to take 1/4 inch score tape as soon as I figure out where it disappeared to on me. And it's literally in front of me. Literally in front of me. Okay. 1/4 inch score tape. We are going to, on one side, okay. And again, you can glue this. This is going to make assembly easier to do it with the tape as opposed to the to glue. In fact, really, I'm going to do this differently. I don't want to do it this way. This is going to be, I think, harder than I want it to be. So let's try this again. Okay, so this is 6 7/8 wide, or tall. Width doesn't matter at this point. We are going to take, it's going to be 2 inches total. I'm going to take 1 inch score tape and put it down. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, just for simplicity's sake when we go to actually score this and cut this. Okay, so put this in the scoreboard. There's my tool. Okay. All right, so on this end, I'm going to score it 1/4 inch. And you're going to have to put some pressure on there to get it to score through the tape and at 3/4. Okay. And then I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to do the same thing again. 1/4 inch, 3/4. Okay. Then I'm going to put it in my trimmer. I'm going to cut at 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. Turn it around and same thing again. 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. Okay. Now, these pieces we are going to fold and burnish on our score lines. Okay. Okay, there we go. I'm going to take this. We're going to get the backing off on 1/2. Okay. Now, could have used 2 pieces. The reason we're not is it's too hard to get the score tape lined up on that small 1/2 and the small 1/2. It's easier to do it as one piece and then score and fold it. Okay. So, got that. I am going to line it up on the outside edge of the greenhouse piece. Okay. If you line it up in that bottom corner, pretty easy to line it up the rest of the way up. Okay, like so. Okay, you do the same thing on the other side. And if you don't want to try and just tear half of that off, you can actually loosen it up and fold it back the opposite direction. And that will work too, like so. Maybe. Yeah, that one wanted to tear off just beautifully. So go figure. Okay. All right, so this one, we're doing the same thing again. And down it goes. Okay. This should be dry. So I'm going to take this and my knife again and cut. Okay. The green is going to go on the back. This front part, I'm actually going to take another piece of the white Petite Prints to cover this front. Okay. So I'm going to do it the same way I did it with the green. And get it all the way on this outside edge and burnish it down. Okay. And set it out aside again. All right, so you've got two more of these pieces. Where'd my other one go? Oh, Lord. Well, I know there's another one here somewhere. I just don't know where it, oh, there it fell. There's where it went. It fell. Okay, so I've got this piece that was left over from this, and then I've got, actually this is that, the piece that was left over from that, as evidenced by the glue. And I don't think both of these will fit on here. Nope, they're too tall. Okay, so you'll need an extra piece of this. Okay, so I'm going to do essentially the same thing I did before, in that I'm going to put this in and glue this to it. Give it a minute to dry. And then we'll attach those same pieces to this one too. Okay. Same thing with the other one. And when you cut these, you'll see that like one side of the smaller piece is wider than the other one. Honestly, I don't think it matters. Maybe it does. It kind of does. It's going to kind of bother me otherwise. I was going to say flip one of them over because that narrower side is the side we're going to put towards the back. All right, so we've got all of that. We're going to put it down just like we did the other one. Move that, bring this one back so I can cut it off again. Except that I need to leave length at the bottom, so I'm going to cut my side first. Okay. And this one, again, and I need to replace my blade probably again, because that seems like all I do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is measure how much space I had at the bottom. So I had 3/8 of an inch at the bottom. So I'm going to do 3/8 of an inch at the bottom of this. That time it cut. And same thing on this one. Okay. And then we're going to attach it to our sides. So I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. Line this up. And put it down and do the same thing on the other side. Line it up. Put it down. And this was the one that I had a little bit of an issue getting it off the mat. Okay. There we go. Now we can take our other pieces and do the same thing. I think. Hold on, let me think about this for a second. How was I going to do this? Ah, that's right. This one, we're folding it the opposite direction. So this is actually going to attach on the outside here and then wrap around to the outside on this, which we probably could have like waited to mat that back piece, other than it would be much, much harder to do the matting once this is all assembled. So we're doing it this way. Okay. So again, we're just lining this up, attaching it, and that is going to fix our little spot here that's slightly narrower. Okay. There we go there. This one, apparently I cut just a teensy bit short, but that's okay. All right. On the home stretch, I promise. Okay. We're going to cut that off. The white side's going to face up. I did not burnish that down well, but that's okay. I'm going to line this up with the bottom here, and then push my little connector piece up. I'm going to bring this up and over, and I apparently like way over burnished that one because it is cracked. So I may have to do another piece over the top of it, but it will be okay. And this one's not even on straight. I'm telling you, you guys, it's one of those days where I'm like, why do I keep doing these? Why do I keep making this stuff? Because when it works, I really enjoy it. And then I come up with things like this that I'm like, oh, this won't be this hard. And then it is. But that's okay. All right. So that's attached on the back. If you wanted to cut additional pieces like this and put them on the back, you could. I may end up doing that. And now the only thing we have left is to adhere this to the back to close it off. So I'm going to push that in there. That actually puts enough pressure on here for everything to like square itself up. Now I'm just going to take clips to adhere this or to hold it there while it dries. And then all you have to do is decorate. And that's it. So I will take the mini icons, possibly some puffy icons, possibly some big icons, odds and ends. I honestly don't know at this point. Not until I start actually doing it will I totally get that figured out. But this will sit down over the top of this. And there's your greenhouse. Did that come out cute? Oh, I'm so excited. This worked out exactly almost how I had it in my brain. So I will be back once this has had a chance to really dry, and we will go over some of the decorating. Okay. And that actually fits exactly on my top. So then I can take my little flowers, put that down there. Let's see what else we want. And then let's take, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm like, why does this feel weird? Because it's not what I wanted. Okay. So let's take this little guy. We're going to put him down here. Like so. I'm going to find, that one's on here somewhere. Oh, literally, I know I'm looking right at it. It's right there. Okay, so like this little guy is going to come over here. I'm going to find another little frog. Is there a smaller frog or are all the frogs on this the same size? No, this little guy is a little bit smaller, so we're going to put him right there to kind of mimic that. And then we're going to take that guy, I guess I had to pull him off. Does not want to stick now, so I'm going to have to get a little bit of glue underneath there, which is fine. Okay. All right, so this one, we're going to kind of go right here. So it's of course not going to be exactly like your little greenhouse odds and ends piece, but it's going to get close. So we're going to put that one there. And let's do, I don't know what I want to do in that other little spot. Let's do this little guy that looks kind of like that one, just a different color. Okay, all right, so there's that. On this one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to cut this down until it's 2 inches. And, let's just make a big mess of it. Okay, I am pretty well convinced that I need a new blade, which I literally just did the other day. Feels like just the other day. It was probably like a month ago, but okay. There we go there. Cut up the side again, just like we did on the other one. Okay. And that one's going to go on here, just like that. And then we can do the same thing. And then on this very top one, I'm really kind of undecided if I want to try and cut my other little top piece again, or if I'm going to leave it as is. And here's the fun part. If you didn't want to make the whole little box and that kind of thing to go with this, you could literally just do this part of it and cut this piece and trim it down, and that would actually be super cute as well. So on this upper part, let's see here, we've got, let's do this little guy in the middle there. Let's do what else do we want to do up there? Get this guy over there. Pull this little teensy butterfly off and put him over there. And then let's do this little cactus over here. And then all I'm going to do on this bottom part down here is just a couple of probably 3x3 photo mats. Honestly, haven't decided yet, but it'll be something along those lines. Oh, there was another like little plant of some kind that I wanted. Aha, there's one. Put him over here. And there was one more that's not the one that's in the big one there. And I think we're going to take that little bouquet and just kind of lay it on there like so. So there again, we've kind of got our pieces and parts there. And I really kind of think I'm going to leave it at that. And then I'm going to take where'd they go? These guys are going to kind of come up here at the top. Come on, get out of there. Okay. Open that guy up that way. We're going to put him up here. Put this other one on the other side. I'm not going to use the one that's got the sentiment on it because I do have a couple of pieces added to the Chit Chat that I want to use. So I have You Are My Sunshine out of the Chit Chat, which really is actually be very, very careful. Ooh, there we go. Okay. And actually stand him up like that. That one's going to go in the middle there. I think I'm actually going to pop this guy up. So let me grab some foam squares. Let's see what we got going here. If I could get him where I wanted him, huh? Okay. That's going to be good. And I may end up pulling out, actually, I think it is out. I think it's out behind me. Pretty Kitty, and see if I can find a little sleeping cat to put in here. Let me grab that really quick since it is just right here. Where are my mini icons? Why do I have like 6 icons for this? I don't understand. Okay, they're not in there. Just kidding. All right, I'm gonna have to find that in a little bit. But the base part here is done. Let me grab our top. Okay, so for this, I am going to use some of the Butterfly Kisses shape sprinkles and some of the bitty bugs and things. So we're just going to add a few little, okay, I don't know where my normal tweezers are, so we're going to use these. We're just going to add some butterflies on the outside. Just randomly. These are not the tweezers I normally use. Not honestly sure where mine are. Okay, I think that's good. And let's add some of our bugs, which those are a little bigger than I would normally kind of want, but I'm gonna add that little guy in there. I'm gonna add this guy up here on the front. I still need to go through and get get the glue off of here. That's okay. We're going to put this little bee over here, and we're going to call it done. Okay, as far as decorating the inside of my book, it's going to be fairly simple. I will continue to use the mini icons in places. I don't know that I have, oh, we have one insert that I haven't done yet for this, but that's, you know, easy enough. That's just going to be a couple of photo mats. And then the rest of it is just, you know, odds and ends, bits and pieces, decorating. And then this will sit in here. This slips down over the top and into our little box here, and almost lines up exactly. Look how fun! Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. This came out better than I was hoping it was going to. So, as always, thank you for watching and following along and supporting me and my channel and my store. And yeah, I'll be back again soon with another project and some more fun stuff. So thanks for watching. Bye.